Hi, it's Kirsty. I wanted to do a video about not needing people to understand your OCD. I just wanted to do this video in case it helps anybody else out there who is struggling with if the fear of being misunderstood by other people is causing them extra distress and keeping them extra stuck. It was something that kept me a little bit more stuck, was wanting to excessively explain myself and explain OCD and the nature of it to other people so that they didn't think, firstly, so that they understood OCD and weren't thinking, Kirsty doesn't have OCD, she's not tidy, she's not clean. Not that I'm unclean, but she's not excessively clean. She doesn't excessively hand wash, apart from at the moment because of the global pandemic. And Kirsty doesn't check light switches, etc. So if somebody has that stereotypical idea of what OCD is, which many people do, I didn't want them to be confused about me with my OCD. Secondly, in the early stages of my realising that I might have OCD, I was confessing and reassurance seeking a lot and sharing my thoughts. As I started to feel a bit better and see that it was OCD some of the time, I wanted to make sure that people were in no doubt that it was my OCD speaking and not me. And the problem is that we can never have 100% certainty about what other people think. So the sooner we can stop seeking that certainty that they 100% understand OCD, the better. So it's a case of practicing feeling uncomfortable about the idea that other people might think you're a bit weird, or that actually you did have a moment when you didn't love your partner or didn't love your child, or you did have a moment when you were having suicidal ideations, or you did have a moment when you wondered if you might not actually be straight, or you might not actually be gay, or whatever it may have been that you had been talking about at the time. It's accepting that uncertainty of what the other people might think of you. And you can want other people to understand your OCD, and it's useful if your loved ones, those that you live with, whether that's your partner or other family members, close friends, etc., and it may be even your boss, depends how much OCD has affected you at work there. But it can be useful if people have some knowledge about it, and especially if they're helping you with any of your therapy or anything like that, and also to know not to reassure, etc. But they don't have to be experts in it. They don't have to be experts in it the way we might be, for example, because maybe we've excessively researched it, if you're anything like me. They just have to have a basic knowledge about it. They don't have to have, they don't have to have 100% all knowledge about it, and you don't need to know. You don't need to have certainty that they know enough about it. You have to just trust that they've done enough, they know enough about it. Somebody did another useful video on this channel about talking about OCD too much, so narrating a lot of it as well. And I do think this falls into that a bit, because obviously the urge to talk about it a lot because it's on your mind a lot, it can actually become very, very unhelpful, because it just fuels that cycle of constantly watching your OCD and what's going on with it. So that's another reason why trying to desperately to want to over-explain it to people to make sure they understand is not necessarily helpful for you. A big part of the OCD recovery process is practicing not needing other people's approval, and practicing accepting not knowing what other people think about you, and not knowing if you're misunderstood, and to be honest, learning to care less about what other people think about you. Some of the tools that we can use to help with this is shame attacking. So putting yourself in certain situations where you're doing things that that make you feel uncomfortable and exposed to other people's judgment can be quite helpful with this, and they can be very helpful with practicing being okay with the idea of being misunderstood about your OCD. In fact, if you're having moments where you're feeling uncomfortable because you're doubting that somebody understands your OCD, you could lean into that discomfort a little bit, because it's helping you practice acceptance of whether or not the OCD is real, accepting that uncertainty, that it might actually be a real situation and people might actually be thinking badly of you. So not running away from that discomfort of how that can feel. Again, you can't force yourself to not care about being misunderstood. That's forcing acceptance again, which I've said before is not helpful. It can work against you. But when you feel uncomfortable when you're around people and you think they might be misunderstanding you and your OCD, don't run away from that situation. Really feel that discomfort. Not running away from that can really, really help. And another thing is that this is kind of widely said, what other people think about you is none of your business. My mum actually usefully once said to me, I think I was in my early 20s and I was worrying what people might think about me at work, and she said, Kirst, I love you, but nobody else is thinking about you as much as you're thinking about you, because they're too busy thinking about themselves. So that's also something to remember in a non-reassurance way, is that people aren't analysing you and your OCD the way you're analysing it anyway. Other people are not holding up a giant thermometer to your brain, or observing all of your behaviours and everything you said and remembering all of it the way that you are as well. It's useful to remember that. But I just wanted to do this video because it's always been something with me that I didn't like the idea of being misunderstood, and to be honest, I still don't, and I still need to practice leaning into that idea a little bit more, because it actually doesn't matter. But if you're somebody where this is something that's keeping you a bit more stuck, I hope this video has offered a bit of help with it. Thank you.